Hello students, welcome to SmartKidz Tutorials. In this video, we will be learning about the metric system. Now, what is a metric system? See, we have learned about standard units for measuring lengths like a meter, or for liquids or water, we use liters, and then to measure something like your bananas, we use in grams. Okay, so these are standard units like grams, meters, and liters. But what if the measurement is large or really very small? Then we need to extend this unit further, okay, so that we can easily measure this large lengths or very small lengths. When we are talking about metric system, it reminds me of a particular story. I'm not sure if you have heard about the story. It's of King Henry. Now, King Henry lived in his palace, but the one thing that he loved the most was his chocolate milk. Okay, I'm sure some of you also would like to have chocolate milk, maybe have Bonvita, Boost, and whatnot. Okay, now there are many varieties available. So he liked chocolate milk, okay, that was specially prepared for him. And he loved it so much, he was obsessed about it. Means full time he loved chocolate milk. Okay, so whenever he was free, chocolate milk, whenever he was thirsty, chocolate milk. So he always loved chocolate. And because of this chocolate milk, he also grew very healthy. But it became so much of an obsession. He went crazy about it and he kept drinking chocolate milk. And one day he got overdose. That means he drank too much of the chocolate milk. He became too greedy and he died because of drinking too much of chocolate milk. Okay, now that doesn't mean that this is an excuse for you not to have chocolate milk if your mother gives you chocolate milk. Okay, it was not the same with King Henry. He just loved chocolate milk and he wanted to have too much, and because of which he got overdose and he died. Now, what has that got to do with our metric system? So, in our metric system, we use King Henry's death as a way to remember our metric system. And I'll show you how do we do that. Okay, I've listed down a few letters that you can see in front, which is K, H, D with a small u, capital D again, C, and capital M. Now, what do these letters have got to do with your metric system? So, we'll first write down what I actually would like you to remember, and that is based on our story of King Henry. So, K stands for King, H stands for Henry, D stands for died, U stands for unexpectedly, D stands for drinking, C stands for chocolate, and M stands for milk. So if we join this together, all of these together, it will sound something like this. King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. So we know from the story that he drank too much of the chocolate milk and he died. Now this is what we use. So K, we are using the initials. K for King, H for Henry, D for died, small u for unexpectedly, D for drinking, C for chocolate, M for milk. Easy. King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. Well, sounds nice, but what has this got to do with our metric system? Once again, the same question. So now we'll write down what does K, H, D, U, D, C, M stand for in terms of our metric system. So I'll write down what it means. So K for kilo, H for hecto, D for deca, U for unit, again D for deci, C for centi, and M for milli. Okay, so these what you see are the prefixes, of course not unit, but these are the prefixes that are used in order to describe the additional lengths or additional weights that you would measure. If they are too large, then it would come here in the first three, and if they are too small, then the next three will be able to give you the measurements. Okay, and we learn about the prefixes and suffixes. That means how should it come as a word. Okay, we'll come to that, but before we'll cover this part. So kilo refers to, it actually is a unit which is 1,000 times standard unit. Okay, so unit can be your gram, meter, or liters. Okay, this is how we symbolize them. Gram for G, M for meters, L for liters. So we have here kilo, and what does kilo? I told you it is 1,000 times the standard unit. That means 1,000 times any of these units. So this will be multiplied with 1,000 here. Hecto is 100 times, so that's two zeros. So this is 3 zeros, 2 0, and deca means 10, 1 0. And what about deci? Okay, deci actually means 1/10 of it, so that means it will be a division and not a multiple. So 1 upon 10, and centi will mean 100, so 1 upon 100, and milli will mean 1,000, so 1 upon 1,000. This is what it means. Okay, so when you want to move from one standard unit to any of the additional units like this, depending on what you are asked, it would either mean that you would have to multiply or divide. So we'll be solving problems on this in the next video, but first we'll see a few things about this kilo, hecto, deca, deci, centi, and milli. Now kilo, how we symbolize it is with a K. It's a capital K or small k. And then we have hecto, which is small h. Then we have deca, okay, which we put DA. Then your unit, whichever it will be, gram, meters, or liters. Then deci with a small d. So this is to differentiate between deca and deci. Deca with an A, deci with just the D. Then you have centi with a C and milli with an M. So this is how we denote these additional units apart from your standard units, which is gram, meters, and liters. Okay. Now we must have heard about whenever mommy or daddy goes to a bazaar, okay, they talk in terms of kilograms or milliliters, or for that matter kilometers, how much of kilometers they traveled today, so forth. Okay, so this comes from here. This is the metric system, and we apply a prefix. Prefix is what comes at the start of a word, okay, and suffix is what comes towards the end of the word. So if you take this as a word, kilometer, okay, your prefix will be kilo, what comes at the start, and you can call this as your head, and your tail will be the meter. So you see meter over here. So here we are talking about the standard unit about meter. You see unit meter, and how I have put it over here is first I have listed down all the prefixes, how they should come in a word: kilo, hecto, deca, unit, deci, centi, and milli. Okay, and then what I have done here, I have formed the word by adding the suffix meter. Why meter? Because I have taken the unit as meter. So how we read it is kilometer, hectometer, decameter, decimeter, centimeter, and millimeter. How do we symbolize it? Is this way. We must have seen this. Kilometer is km, hectometer is hm, decameter is dam, meter is just given as n small m, and decimeter is dm, centimeter is cm, millimeter is mm. In fact, this you will find on your scale as well if you have a look at it. Okay, so this is how we form the units with the help of this prefixes joining to this standard units, and how we symbolize them in our day-to-day life or problems. I've done the same for grams as well. Our unit in this case is the grams. We have kilograms, hectogram, decagram, decigram, centigram, milligram. And how do we symbolize it? kg, hg, dag, dg, cg, and mg. We may not come across most of this in our day-to-day life, but what we come frequently across would be kilograms, grams, or even milligrams. Okay, but the others we may not come across. Some are frequently used in our day-to-day life, and some are used only when we solve problems or in scientific notations. Similarly, over here, our unit is liter in this case, which means now we will call it kiloliter, hectoliter, decaliter, deciliter, centiliter, and milliliter. Okay, liters and milliliters are more common. You may have heard about them. So we symbolize them as KL, HL, DAL, L, DL, CL, and ML. Important thing to remember is about King Henry. King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk, and this will help us to remember about kilo, hecto, deca, deci, centi, and milli in the order that they are there, and which are the larger units and which are the smaller units. Okay, so in our next video we will be applying this knowledge that we have just gathered and looking to solve or convert one unit into another. Okay, and trying to solve problems, so that will help us in understanding the metric system better. So if you've liked watching this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, please share it with your friends who would also benefit from this video, and keep watching for more such videos. Thank you.